Hey, hello kids, how you doing today? You're welcome to another numeracy class. So we are doing multiplication in this series of numeracy lessons. We are handling multiplication, and on this first day of this multiplication series, we'll be learning of the multiplication facts. The multiplication fact. These are facts in multiplication you need to know when getting into or before getting into multiplication. So you learn this fact, and at the same time always remember that you need to have a good knowledge of your multiplication table. You need to have a good knowledge of your multiplication table, and also be aware of these multiplication facts that you'll be learning of today. And after today you will also be given questions to attend, and I believe you'll be able to do well in them. So just sit back, relax, and pay careful attention to the lesson. So see you in the lesson. Yeah, so you are now in the lesson, and like you have learned, we are talking about multiplication, and the first lesson we want to look at in this multiplication series is the basic multiplication facts. That is, those things you need to note before or during your multiplication. Those things you need to note and know at the back and have at the back of your mind before and during multiplication. Now, the first one of the multiplication fact is that any number multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. Any number multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. Please note that. Any number, no matter how big or how small the number is, it is equal to 0. You can see now we have example 3 times 0. 3 times 0 is 0. Same thing, let's say you have 17. Even if it's 17 multiplied by 0 is still 0. Let's say we have even maybe 458 multiplied by 0 is still equal to 0. Let's even have a bigger number, maybe 5,701 times 0 is still equal to 0. So no matter the number you are having, any number multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. So let's look at another fact of multiplication. So you've learned that now, that any number multiplied by 0 is 0. No matter how big or how small the number is, it's equal to 0. So let's look at this other fact. This fact states that any number multiplied by 1 is equal to that same number. Any number, no matter how big or how small the number is, the number multiplied by 1 would give you that same number. Look at this example. For example, 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is going to give you 2. Even let's say you have a bigger number like 95 times 1. 95 times 1 will still give you 95. Let's even say you have a bigger number like 754 times 1. It will still give you 754. I believe you know this, but this might be like a revision. So this is any number multiplied by 1 would give you the number. Let's even say maybe like 6,750 times 1 would still give you 6,750. So any number multiplied by 1 will still give you that same number. Good. Now let's look at another fact of multiplication. Another fact of multiplication now is any number, it states that any number multiplied by 10, that it will be equal to that number followed by 0. Any number multiplied by 10 will be equal to that number followed by 0. For example, look at 2. 2 multiplied by 10 would give you 20, that's 20. So any number multiplied by 10 will give you that same number with a 0 behind it. Look at it, 2 multiplied by 10 will give you 20, and that's 20. 1 multiplied by 10 will give you 10, that's 10. Same thing, other examples, I can give you other examples like, let's guess a number, any number. Let's say 5 multiplied by 10. What will it give us? It will give us 50, and that's 50. Let's also look at another one, maybe a bigger number now. Let's say 10. Let's even say 10. 10 multiplied by 10 would give you 10 followed by 0, and that is 100. That is 100. Let's even look at maybe a bigger number like let's say 256 times 10. 256 times 10. So what do? It means 200 and, okay, let's write it properly. It means 256 with a 0, and that gives us was 2560. So any number multiplied by 10 will be equal to that number followed by 0. That is the answer. It's a trick, and it's also a fact in mathematics based on multiplication. Now, another fact of multiplication is numbers on the chart can be switched round. Numbers on the chart, that is, when you write your number, like something multiplied by something, number multiplied by some number, you can interchange it, that the number multiplied by this. So look at this now. An example is 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is the same thing, would give you the same answer as 7 times 2. Same thing, let's say you have 5 times 9. 5 times 9 will give you the same thing as 9 times 5. Yes, that is how multiplication is. It's not different. It's the same number no matter how you arrange them. As long as they are multiplying, it will still give you the same answer. Let's even say maybe let's say 6 multiplied by 3, which is going to be 18, is still the same thing as 3 will give us the same answer as 3 multiplied by 6. So numbers on the chart can be switched around. You can say 2 times 7, or you can say 7 times 2. It's still going to give you the same answer. And you can say 5 times 9 and 9 times 5. Whichever number, two different numbers, multiplying them, no matter regardless of the position you put them, will still give you the same answer. Look at it. 5 times 9 is the same thing as 9 times 5. 6 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 6. As much as possible, you can even give a bigger number. Let's say maybe like 20 times 20 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 20. So you can see that That is a fact. Is a fact. That is a fact in multiplication. So let's look at another multiplication fact quickly. Another multiplication fact, which is the last one, is that the number that is multiplied is called multiplicand. A number that is multiplied is called multiplicand, while the number that is multiplied with is called multiplier. For example, 10 times 2. 10 times 2 is equal to 20. Now, 10, which comes before, is the multiplicand, while 2 is the multiplier. While 2 is the multiplier. Same thing, if we have another example, we can give another example. Let's guess another. Let's say we have 3 times 9. So which is actually 27. So in this 3 times 9, we can say the 3 is the multiplicand, while the 9 is the multiplier. So sometimes when they speak to you and you don't really get what is meant, remember these terms. The 3 is the multiplicand, while the 9 is the multiplier. So those are the facts in multiplication. Now let's look at this. This says that, note, ensure to learn to have a good knowledge of the multiplication table. Remember, your teacher tells you to learn your multiplication table, maybe 2 times 1 to 2 times 12, 3 times 1 to 3 times 12, 4 times 1 to 4 times 12, 5 times 1 to 5 times 12. You can learn it up to 12. 6 times 1 to 6 times 12, 7 times 1 to 7 times 12, 8 times 1 to 8 times 12, 9 times 1 to 9 times 12, till 10, 11, 12. You can learn it up to 12, even for your age. When you have a good knowledge of multiplication table, you have a sure hope of getting your answers right when you are doing multiplication questions or questions based on multiplication. And also note that another word for multiplication is product. So sometimes they might not tell you multiply or find the multiplication of this and this. They might tell you find the product of this and this. So when you hear product, remember they are talking about, or the question demands of you to do multiplication. So please note all these facts and apply them when solving your multiplication question. It can come in words, so still solve them. So which still is as the question that I'll be giving you today. So let's look at an example here to understand multiplication interpretation, what it means in multiplication, for a number to experience multiplication. Now look at this example. This example states that 4 in 2 places. 4 in 2 places. It means 4 will appear in 2 places, adding themselves together. So look at it. 4 in 2 places means 4 plus 4, and that is 8. 4 in 2 places means 4 plus another 4. Adding it together would give you 8. And the same time, from the knowledge of multiplication table, you can get it. So, but 4 in 4 places, 4 and 4, 4 in 2 places means 4 plus another 4, which is 8. So, we can actually write this as well for you to understand in strokes, to show that the quantity meant by 4 in 2 places, it means is as though you're saying 4 strokes or 4 amount of things, 4 and another 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you count it all together, you should be getting 8. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is 8. So you can see 4 in 2 places means 4 plus 4, and that is 8. Then you can see from the knowledge of your multiplication table, you can as well get it, which is 4 times 4 times 2. And even without adding, which is the slow method, you can, from the memory or the knowledge of a multiplication table, you can quickly get your answer. 4 times 2, 8, without even having to do the strokes or putting the 4 in 2 places. So that is an advantage of having the knowledge of a multiplication table. So another example here is 4 in 5 places. 4 in 5 places. What does it mean? It means 4 in 5 places. 4, another 4, another 4, another 4, another 4, another 4. So 4 in 5 places, and you can see 4 in 5 places would give us 20. Let's prove that with our strokes to show that 4 in 5 places will give us 20. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the third 4. Remember, we're going to 5. Remember, we're going to 5. So another 4. That's the fourth one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then another 4, which is the last one, the fifth one. That's let's put it here. Let's count it here, under here for space. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's now see how many this 4 in 5 places would be when we add them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 4 in 5 places is truly, or are truly, in total 20. But this is a long method for you to do multiplication. Actually, this is actually multiplication. But when you have a knowledge of your multiplication table in your head, you don't have to be counting for you to get your answer, like I said before. You just have to have the knowledge, keep it in your memory, and always remember it. Always be able to memorize and recite it. So 4 times 5, for somebody that has the knowledge of multiplication table, you can just easily say 20. So that is the beauty of having the knowledge of your multiplication table in your heart. So these are the multiplication facts, and this is multiplication interpretation as well. So I'll be giving you some little word problems which you should, or statements which you should be able to interpret with the fact, and with also the interpretation of with the way to interpret multiplication. So ensure you do them properly. So thanks for staying with me for this long. So I hope to also speak to you and continue on this series of multiplication lesson. Thank you. Bye.